goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Lane Woolscroft.
It is interview time.
It is interview
we
time.
have another guest.
Yay!
Yeah, just like last week.
We're in episode 146, and this time we're going to be talking to director and actor Liz Drummer. She's going to be talking to us about a new film that she's working on called Tribute Night. It's a horror movie, which we're all fans of the scary stuff.
Yes.
So this is right up our alley.
And we're getting towards like the fall here, you know, and we're
it doesn't feel like we're getting towards the fall.
Well, by the time the episode comes out.
Listen.
Not that we both record these or anything.
I literally asked John yesterday, I was like, can we put the Halloween decorations out yet? Because I'm ready.
You can have Halloween decorations out 365.
August is when it hits for me. I'm always like, okay, it's Halloween time now.
Well, that's partially because that's when Party City starts making all of their Halloween decorations. I only know that because I worked there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And August was always like, all right, get out the planogram. We're going to be setting up the Halloween store and all this shit.
I've always been like this. Like,
guys,
when I was a kid, you know.
Guys, we have a guest.
We do have a guest.
We have a guest. Yay, podcast.
Let's stop talking about Party City.
Straight from the internets.
Yeah.
We have Liz Drummer. Liz, how you doing today?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Not too bad. A little sidetracked, apparently. But, Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit, about yourself and to kind of start things off so the audience knows a little more about you.
No problem. Like he said, I'm a director and an actor and a writer. We just started our Tribute Night movie as a project that was crazy, and that's like my debut screenwriting thing. I know that sounds weird. I've been in acting since I was really small. My mom was a model and my dad was a backup dancer. So I grew up in the entertainment business since I was really little. So between all that, here I am now.
So what was that like? Did you do a lot of like commercial work, theater work? Like what was that like growing up?
I did a lot of print work. I did like catalogs for like the JCPenney's and all that stuff when I was little. I did a little bit of acting, but not like a whole bunch. I was on Nick Jr. like one time. But other than that, I took a break and I went to school, was trying to live as normal as I could with parents that were always in the entertainment field.
I got to ask, what Nick Jr. show were you on?
Gullah Gullah Island.
Oh my God, I remember that show. That's funny.
Now I got to hunt that down. Yeah.
I'm afraid of frogs, so everybody thinks it's hilarious that was like the one show I went towards because, they had that big pollywog.
No! That's funny.
You're afraid of frogs?
Yes, and everybody finds that hilarious because I like snakes and spiders and I have a bearded dragon. They're like, really? Frogs?
Listen, we've all got our things.
I got to ask, because this is more... What is it about frogs that you're afraid of?
I don't know. I just like...
It's called a phobia, Brian.
I understand that.
I've tried to rationalize it in my brain, and I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of frogs. And I'll hype myself up. And while we were filming Tribute Night, one of the scenes is in the woods, and there was a bunch of frogs, and I was just bawling. I was like, why the frogs? I didn't think this through when I wrote it.
Oh, no.
I mean, I guess it's like probably like their dead eyes, like, separated, that sort of thing.
I mean, we don't need to make it worse, Brian.
Yeah, they have dead eyes, okay?
Yeah.
It's not until they're actually in front of me that it bothers me. I don't know. I'll psych myself up, and then as soon as somebody shows me a frog, I'm like stiff, like on the ground. I'm like, ugh.
So did the late 90s Budweiser ads like freak you out?
Yeah, we're just not even, I just avoid it. I'm like, I don't want to hear you.
But so before we get into the details of Tribute Night, like, so you said it was like your first time writing a screenplay. Like what brought you to creating this? Like what was the kind of the muse behind the creation of this?
I just recently decided to go back into film. I think it's been 2 years now, and I've been working a lot on indie films here in Orlando, working with other directors and writing for them. Also, as I said, I write books as well, and I was offered to make my book into a screenplay. So I started writing my book as a screenplay, and then I started getting these weird dreams and stuff like that, which came out to be Tribute Night. And I started writing it down, and I was like, well, let me write this into a script. And then it came out.
Did you have any experience in the horror genre prior to Tribute Night?
Yes. I do SFX makeup, so it was mostly just that. I never did any acting or wrote anything. I usually do SFX makeup, and I'm a huge horror movie fan. Awesome. Like, my house looks like the Addams Family house, so I love just that genre in general. So I was really looking forward to seeing if I can do something on my own, because you can love horror movie, but doesn't mean you can write one.
It's very true.
Right.
Very true.
Certainly. But yeah, tell us a little more about the movie. Like, well, what's the premise?
The premise is a group of men that are horror movie fanatics, and they're all a little twisted on their own, and they decide that they're going to pay tribute to their favorite horror movie killing scenes out on this poor group of teens that come to their motel.
Okay.
So it's got kind of that meta feel to it of, like, say like Scream or something of that nature, or New Nightmare, where it's kind of like the horror movies exist in this world. Like, we're not pretending they don't. Is that fair to say?
Kind of. I would probably compare it a little bit more to like Human Centipede Part 2, I think it was, where the man was like so obsessed with the human centipede that he wanted to recreate it himself.
Okay.
So, like, these guys all have, like, their favorite killing scenes in the movies that they watch, and they want to recreate it, or at least see if they can, with victims they find themselves.
Not to give anything too far away, and I mean, you don't have to mention if you don't, but is there any, like, particular scene that somebody uses in the film that you can let us know about, like any particular movie that they reference in the movie?
Hostel, Psycho.
Oh, wow. So you're going deep, going right for that, like right for the jugular. I like it.
Yes. Every character kind of has like their own genre of horror that they're liking. Like the older male is like more into classic horror, so he wants to do like the Psycho, and like as they have different ages of the males, they kind of bring out their own feel of movie.
Now, did you pull like directly from movies that are kind of popularized in like reality, or did you create fictional movies that they're kind of idolizing?
I had picked from actual movies, like my personal favorite, and then just kind of put my spin on it.
Nice. Very cool.
So what was the production like, or what is the production like now for doing an independent movie? Like, what kind of scale are you guys looking at, and like how to how did you get started? Like, what does the future hold? We always just kind of like to discuss independent film, as compared to like a $200 or $200 million Marvel movie or something like that. So, like, what's production look like for you guys?
Production is crazy, and you wear many hats. On a multi-million-dollar thing, the director is just a director. But I was the director, the writer. I was in it. I did FSX makeup. I did everything, and thankfully I have a crew that everybody wore multiple hats, so it keeps costs down and we can utilize the same people. Also, we're kind of here in Orlando, we have a film group, so you go to there and you see, okay, who's kind of active, winning active awards and stuff like that, and you start socializing, and you just get a group together and you pray for the best. And it's really, really hectic because everybody has real lives and real jobs. So finding the time to have the table reads, to have the pre-production meetings, to actually shoot it, it's just completely hectic.
And now this is a feature, right? It's not like a short film or anything like that?
Correct. And that made it even harder.
Yeah.
And what do we look like runtime there? Is it 90 minutes, 2 hours? Where's it fallen?
As of right now, it's still in editing, so I couldn't give a final number, but I'm probably looking about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's good. What challenges did you run into on this production, like specifically?
well, let me sort through all these papers because I have like things. Because just from the beginning, from working on the script, you kill a bunch of trees just writing things, and then the casting and production on itself. I mean, there was problems everywhere, and I just take them as I learned for the next time. But just to grab something, the day of shooting, one of our boom mics decided to stop working, and you don't really anticipate that too much, but it was, down to like a piece, and we were in the middle of nowhere, so I had to send somebody like an hour away to try to find this piece. It came back and it still wasn't the correct one.
Oh, no.
And I've had actors that weren't too happy with some of the things that they had to do, because I like to push people to their limits. And I think being in an indie film, you have a little bit more freedom, because I said I'm taking from Hostel, so it kind of gives you an imagination of how extreme I was pushing some people.
Right.
So you have to deal with making sure your cast is happy, all the equipment is working, and just the development as a whole, and still trying to capture originally what you were trying to get.
Did you feel that coming from, being an actor yourself, that helped you to be able to push the actors in some of those scenes?
Oh, definitely, because I was able to tell them things that I've experienced, and I had a couple of newbies on this film, so they weren't aware of, the things that an actor would do. I'm like, if they tell Tom Cruise you're gonna fall on the ground, he's gonna fall on the ground. It's, you just have to teach them things and just let them know it's going to be okay, and at the end of the day, it's going to look great. Just put their trust in me.
Gotcha.
How is that as an actor directing, like being behind the camera? What is that experience like coming from acting yourself?
I think that every actor should try to step behind the camera, because it's like a whole different world. You see things that you just wouldn't think of, the attention to detail, and just how little things that I would, things that I could have done. Like, I have a really low voice and I speak softly. So being behind the camera now, I can see how frustrating it would be for, the sound operator or the director. They're like, can you speak up? It's little things that you start picking up to make yourself a better actor.
And do you think that builds trust in your actors on set, knowing that you come from the same world that they do?
Oh, definitely. And I have very open communication with them. There was some ad-libbing. I was really open to what they felt and how they felt the scene should continue on without going too far away from the script.
Now you said you did special effects makeup on this too.
Yeah, Brian, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
sure.
But yeah, in case any of our audience doesn't know, SFX is special effects makeup. Yeah.
Right. So you said
it's okay.
That's all right. Yeah. So you said you did special effects makeup on this. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of process you did for that? Was it just kind of simple blood here or there, or did you create customized gags for these scenes?
It was a little bit of both. Towards some scenes, it was a little bit of a crunch time because, like I said, I'm dealing with real live people and I have to be sensitive to their needs.
Right.
We had a little bit of crunch time, so there was a lot of blood used, and we did make all that blood, and then we did use a little bit of store-bought blood mixed in with the ones that we had made, and then I had made 100% pieces myself, at my dinner table. I have behind the scene photos later on when people check it out of some of my actors eating breakfast, and there's some props that I'm making on the table, and you're like, ew, why would you want to be eating next to that? And just ordering things. Luckily we have a great internet to order things.
Now, you said you wore so many hats. Did you find yourself preferring any aspect of production or enjoying any aspect of it that surprised you?
I've had such an extensive, list of things that I've done already. I'm so used to just falling into those roles. I think I took on a lot of those hats because it's just my mindset that I have to do everything, unfortunately. But nothing really surprised me. I really love directing. I guess I would pick that. I never thought I would be a director. I always thought I would do just makeup or just lighting or just acting because I love lighting as well. But this is the second or third film that I've directed, and I surprised that I enjoy it as much as I do.
That's awesome.
Now, everybody has a favorite part of production: pre-production, production, or post-production. Is there anyone that you prefer over the other?
Definitely post-production. I love now that we're putting it all together and seeing everybody's hard work come together.
Is there a release date scheduled for it? And where would people be able to check that out if they would choose to?
I'm hoping to release it by the middle to end of next month, because we would love for it to be ready by Halloween for all the spooky empires and all that good stuff. But it's just, as things go, how things get pushed back with technical difficulties and stuff like that. So we'll just play it by ear. They can always find updates on when the release date and premiere days and meet and greets and all that good stuff on Facebook, because we have the Facebook page, which is Tribute Night Movie. Instagram, which is Tribute Night _night, Tribute _night, yes, and then Twitter, Tribute Night. So those three aspects, they can just go on there, and we're always regularly updating everybody so they're, up to date on everything. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff there.
Now, I know with most, especially with features, it always comes down to kind of like being able to raise money to make the movie itself. What did you guys do to kind of, fill that gap? Was it all self-funded? Did you use crowdsourcing? What was kind of the process on that end?
It was all self-funding between myself and my AD, and even one of my actors contributed as well to one of the locations. So It was all self-funding between myself and the AD the most. So we shelled out all the money, but it was worth it. It really was. Like, just the experience alone was worth it.
Very cool. No, yeah, you mentioned your social media and all that. I feel like that's one of the most difficult things when you're making an independent film is keeping that kind of up to date. That can almost be a full-time job in and of itself. So what is that like, having to make sure you're keeping the Facebook up to date, the Twitter up to date, everything, the Instagram, everything you can think of, making sure you're keeping the word out about the film?
That definitely is a second job, and numerous times I feel like I'm the mother to the rest of the cast, because I'm like, hey, did you guys post a promotional video, or did you just post a picture? I'm always on them to do something on there just to show that we're active, and I'll go on there as well. I've gotten really good on my social media because of my book, and my publisher is always pushing me to keep promoting. So I took that experience and now using it towards the movie. If I didn't have that experience before, I could see how it'd be a lot harder, but it was an easy transition for me.
Now, making a horror film, what you finally see in the final product can be terrifying, but I've experienced working on horror films that it can almost feel like almost kind of funny in a bizarre way on set. Like, what was it like shooting a horror movie? Was it kind of like one of those, like, oh, it's so outrageous we can't help but like laugh in between takes, or was everybody like, whoa, this is like extremely kind of intense kind of thing to have to film?
We had both of those. We had one scene that was more the hostile scene that we actually just busted out laughing, because our actor just took it so extreme and so cringeworthy that you're just like, you probably have to bathe after watching this scene. You're just like, we just had to laugh. We're like, you're so sick, man. And then like when my scene came up, I almost said something. I was like, when my scene came up, everybody was just, they didn't speak. And I was so scared. I was like, did my scene suck just so badly that you didn't speak? They were like, no, we were just like, wow. And then they're like, we thought you guys were actually going to like kill each other at one point, so we've had both aspects, and it's really funny. It just depends on the actor, I guess, because I'm more intense, and then the other actor is definitely a comedic actor.
And is this one of like your first dabbles into this genre, or have you done other things in this genre before?
Of my own, my first, but I've done other things for other people, and the actors in it have as well. So it was like bringing our experience from other people's sets to this one.
What kind of advice would you give to people who listen to this podcast who maybe, budding filmmakers themselves, especially because you're kind of coming into this, having gone through everything and now getting into post-production? What's your, and I think honestly production and the pre-production side of it are probably the harder bits. Technology is one of those things where like you can get the post-production pretty easily, in my opinion, but that pre-pro and the actual production side of it seems to be kind of the harder stuff. What advice would you give to those filmmakers?
Make sure you have a bottle of whiskey handy. I'm just kidding. But it was crazy. Every aspect of this film, I think the production itself was the hardest for me. Pre-production was hard, finding everyone, making sure everybody was okay with what I wanted them to do. That's another thing, because there's one person in particular I really had to sit down with them and be like, are you sure you're okay with this? Are you sure you're okay with this? And the production itself, it's hard because everybody can talk about it forever. And so you're actually there doing it. That's when, okay, maybe I'm not so okay with this, or I need to go because of this, or something breaks down. But you just kind of push through it. And I would suggest anyone that's thinking about doing it, just do it. Like, we only live once. Just do it. Everything will fix itself. Everything will come together. I mean, at the end of this production, I didn't even feel like we were going to release the production because we had a little bit of drama, which I think is on any set. I was like, I'm just going to give everybody a demo reel and call it a day. That's how.
Can you speak to the drama?
Yeah. But you push through it. You put the egos aside, and you remember we're all here for the common good.
A two-part question on, I don't think that we've really, on all the interviews we've done, really talked about the casting process.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could kind of go over that, and also after that, if you could talk about the film landscape of Orlando, because I'm very intrigued by that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Casting's always fun. You put out a casting call. I do it on Facebook. There's a lot of different groups that I will put it on, and then I start off with online video auditions, and then I go to a physical. That way you can kind of cut it, because in another film we did just the physical audition, and we had a line out the door and we were there all day. At least if you do the video auditions first, you can kind of cut through people that you probably wouldn't want to see in person.
That's really smart.
And then you cut, and then you go to the people that you want to see in person, because you don't know how many times it took them to do that take. So yeah, it was great, but now you're in person, so I want to see what you have in person.
And did they read lines from the film, or did you guys have them do a monologue, or what do they do when they're trying out?
I have them do the scenes from the actual movie, so they have it. As soon as they give me any kind of interest, they'll email the site and they'll tell me, I'm interested in auditioning in such and such. I'll send them a couple lines, and then the video has that. And then when they come into the actual audition, you have a little bit more of a scene, as well as if they want, they could read with another character.
Very cool. So, and so what is the film scene in Orlando? What's that like?
It's so much better now than it was a couple years ago. I believe everybody's a little bit more film friendly. We shot some of the scenes in Lake Nona, Orlando, and it's a beautiful setting there. Lots of businesses, lots of, you can shoot a lot here because it has lots of trees, farm, then you have a city aspect. So it's very dimensional. We also used Titusville, and that was very secluded and provided a lot of the woods, and we used Fort McCoy. I keep saying it wrong because I've never even heard of it until we actually used it. Fort McCoy, and that was our extreme isolation location where we didn't even have cell phone service.
Wow.
So Florida is coming a really long way, and I'm learning so much more about Orlando in general, just locations, because once you don't really think about Lake Nona or Apopka, you're just like, oh, those are just places, until you actually go there. I mean, they're coming a long way.
With being in Florida, did you have to deal with weather changes and things like that, or was it pretty calm the time of the year that you filmed?
We had to stop because of rain a lot, because Florida is sunshine one minute and then rain the next. But we just worked through it. I apologize to my actors, because our makeup probably didn't look as nice as it should, because we had to deal with the rain, and then it would dry up and be so hot and humid. So, the beauty makeup, probably is going to be lacking.
But can you speak more to some of the other details of the production, like costume design, art direction, the kind of the things that some people really take for granted when it comes to film production?
Yes, you really have to pay attention to detail. At least I do, because those are things you don't think about until you're actually on scene. Like, we went as far as designing our own keys for the motel, because it's shot in a motel. So we designed our own set of keys.
That's amazing.
Wow.
The eye to detail there, that's dope.
So, now we have those and we can give them away if somebody wants them. So, I mean, everybody's clothes was like to the T, and everybody made sure they had multiple of them. So if they happen to have blood or whatever, everything was made or ordered custom for the movie, 100%. Because, I personally, if I'm going to watch a movie, I want to see custom things, like even down to like the guy's t-shirt. If he's like, oh, I'm going to my favorite bar, look, I'm wearing a shirt, what's the bar's name? We have our own beer. There's a scene that they have beer. We made our own beer, our own labels.
That's amazing. I love that.
Like, it was just so extreme. I went down to every detail, because you never know what anybody's looking at. You can have one person that's just like a movie watcher, or you guys could be watching it. You're filmmakers yourself, so you're going to be critiquing everything.
Well, it's also a matter of, as you said, if you've got, someone wearing a T-shirt and it's one that you have to have like, 20 of them because it's in a scene where there's lots of blood and you might have to reset the shot and all that fun stuff. If you go out and just buy one at Walmart that has, some graphic on it, you're going to be spending a lot of money to buy those multiple shirts. But if you're able to like screen print, 20 of them, it's a lot less expensive.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to keep it afterwards.
And you get to keep it afterwards, exactly.
Because I love collecting horror movie stuff, so I just think of fans later on wanting them, and we can hand them out.
That's right.
What was the longest part of production? Was it the pre-production, production, or post-production? What seems to have been the longest?
The production.
Yes.
How long was the production itself?
Yeah, how long did you guys shoot?
Actually, just 3 days.
What? Really? Wow, that's awesome.
I'm assuming those were 18-hour days. Is that fair?
At least.
Yeah.
I would say about that.
Wow, 3 days.
That's why on the third day they were all like, "I don't want to even talk to you anymore. Bye."
How many different sets were you at? Was it just 3 sets?
It was in total, I would say 4. Total 4 for the 3 days. The first day was 2 sets. No, I apologize. No, the first day was 2 sets. The second day was 2 sets, and then the last day was 1. So that's about a couple. I don't know, lost count.
5. Yeah, that's crazy though. Like 3 days, shoot a feature. Wow.
I build it off of everybody's schedule, unfortunately, because I had people from all over. I had people coming in from Jacksonville, Miami. Like, everybody was driving to me, so I tried to make it. Was it smart? Probably not, because we were exhausted. I cracked a rib. Somebody bruised their somebody bruised their shoulder. But it is what it is.
How'd you crack a rib?
You'll have to see.
I imagine that. I knew that's going to be the response. Yeah.
I thought we were going to get some exclusive like,
Very
hey, here's
smart.
how I cracked it.
How's the movie end?
That's funny.
She cracked her rib and it ended. The end.
Boom.
The end.
The end.
So once again, where can people check this out on social media?
Facebook is Tribute Night Movie. Instagram is tribute_night, and Twitter is Tribute Night.
Right. And is there anything that you think that we forgot to ask, or anything that you wanted to mention specifically? It's okay if that's no, but I didn't want to leave anything on the table for you.
Well, I definitely just wanted to mention my cast. They definitely wanted to, be here with me today, and just, I want to have them be part of this, because if it wasn't for them, the movie wouldn't have been made. It would have just been sitting on my desk, just words. So we have Sean Kofinas, who plays Frank Larson in the movie. We have Darren Fox, that plays Luke Skinner. Valencia Waters plays Zara Tate. Amanda Sierra Simmons. Angel Earl Daggett, who has his own beer. That's the one with the beer. Jack Waters, Tom Hatcher. That's the creepy one that made us laugh. Davis, who is Parker Vincent, which, by the way, he was just in the episode of Stranger Things, episode 7 in the new season.
Yep, okay.
Season 3. He's in episode 7. And then myself, I played Melody.
Nice.
That's great.
Very cool.
So, if you're a Stranger Things fan, I'm like a proud mama. I'm like, go look at episode 7.
Who does he play on that episode?
He's one of the extras.
Okay.
If you watch it, it's around the, I don't want to give anything away, but it's when they're in the theater watching Back to the Future. You'll see him. Cool. He has really puffy hair.
That's cool.
Awesome. Gotcha. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, Liz, and I know I definitely want to, send us a screener of Tribute Night when it comes out. Because I know we definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, and when it does have its wide release, please let us know, and we will continue to push that as much as possible, so that we can get as many eyeballs on it as possible.
Yeah, as female filmmaker to female filmmaker, it's not easy, is it?
Yeah.
Not at all. There's so much competition now these days.
Awesome. Well, John, where can they find you at on the Twitter machine?
The Unreal J Wolves.
Lane?
LA_Croft.
You can find me at Brian Cunnington on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus at Psycho Show, even though Google Plus doesn't exist anymore. I always do that.
You always do that.
You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next time.
Check out Tribute Night when it comes out.
Epicast.